From Citizen TV, this is Tonight with Sam Ituku.
Thank you for choosing Citizen TV on this 5th day of December 2024. And tonight, the news gang is fully constituted. We'll be having a conversation about the latest in the world of politics. Many questions have been raised in the public sphere, but also several comments that have come from the side of the political class, all the way from the leadership of the country to those in the minority. Be sure to catch that conversation on the news gang. But first, here are the top stories tonight.
You have to be a fool to be forced to sign the wrong thing, and you actually sign.
Who are the suppliers? President Ruto wades in as multi-billion medical equipment leasing controversy boils over.
Simaji ilikuja kwa boma fagia ng'ombe yote na mbuzi na kile kitu. Makuku meenda na maji. Masufuria, watu hao hawana hata masufuria. Tafadhali leteni hata masufuria wapige na hiyo unga yenu mnaleta hiyo.
Animals killed, crops destroyed, 300 families displaced after River Sondu Miriu bursts its bank, leaving trail of destruction.
Now it's raining everywhere. The water that comes from these asbestos roofs, and all the health risks it has, what Kenyans are looking.
Asbestos ban, Kenyans exposed to risk of cancer as the country yet again fails to meet the December deadline for removing all asbestos roofs. National anger therapy. It is a battle of evil spirits and evil spirits on the news gang.
Good evening. Our sign language interpreter is Yola Nzale. We begin with a brewing controversy over the medical equipment placement scheme to the counties. And tonight, President William Ruto has told governors that none of them was forced to sign up for the scheme and that governors voluntarily entered into agreements with suppliers. The president said there are 7 suppliers involved in the medical supplies scheme, remarks that come after some governors claimed they had been coerced to sign the contracts. And as Brenda Wanga now reports that the Ministry of Health and the Council of Governors chair have also reiterated that the procurement was done properly.
2 days after the Nyeri governor took the governor's concerns about the National Equipment Service Program to the Senate, President William Ruto has come out guns blazing in defense of the program that seeks to supply medical equipment to county governments. President Ruto vehemently denying that governors were forced to ink the deals.
Anybody who says they were forced by the national government to sign whatever contract, those are conmen and they are liars. Because Mungaro is here, Abdul Samad is here, Fatuma is here, they are governors. There is nobody who forced them to sign any contract. That is the truth. Nobody was forced. And nobody, you have to be a fool to be forced to sign the wrong thing. And you actually sign. You know, and you go and announce that I was forced.
Gatekeeper.
Yes.
The Nyeri governor had told the Senate's Health Committee that the county governments had no choice in the matter of onboarding onto the NESP.
Let's even put it this way, it is also open to private hospitals. The same program is open to private hospitals.
That's a business.
Yeah.
I mean, that's business. That's, we are now talking business, not about service provision.
Yeah, but
we are now at the whims of businessmen.
Do we have a choice?
The multi-billion shillings contracts will see contractors supply medical equipment to county hospitals and earn fees for services provided. But senators have questioned what they termed as the national government's hand in the procurement processes that resulted in the award of the work to 7 contractors. The president maintains that there was no underhand dealings.
We have costed the equipments, we have costed the drugs, we have costed the services with experts. The procurement of any equipment, the one that I see people talking about in the media, there was a procurement process. It was carried out between the counties and the national and the Ministry of Health. There is no obligation on any county to get any equipment from any supplier. There is no one supplier. I think there are 7 or so suppliers.
The president's statement comes as the Ministry of Health and the Council of Governors chair sought to walk back sentiments from the Nyeri governor. In a statement, the two indicate that the counties will get the medical equipment under the fee-for-service model that allows vendors to supply, maintain and upgrade state-of-the-art equipment at no cost to the county health facilities. The contractors will be paid for services under gazetted SHA tariffs. The MOH and the COG chair further clarified that onboarding the NESP is not mandatory, but insisted that the model now employed will foster transparency, efficiency and sustainability.
There will be no corruption in social health as long as I'm president. You know? And I am willing to be challenged, because we must get rid of corruption. We must get rid of fraud. We must make sure that Kenyans get the benefit and value for every cent they spend.
By the way, if we had the 450 billion that we were asking for, we will tell the Ministry of Health, sisi tuko na pesa ya kutosha kununua equipment. NESP arrangement is the best option we had under the circumstances.
The National Equipment Service Program is a successor to the controversial medical equipment services that was implemented in the first devolved county governments. The program ran into headwinds, with counties claiming that the equipment delivered were dysfunctional and not serviced properly, costing the country billions of shillings with little returns on that investment. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
Kenyan police officers in the multinational security support mission in Haiti are reportedly in dire straits as delayed salaries and growing frustration with leadership in the National Police Service continuing to plague their mission. Although the Inspector General of Police denies the claim, saying the government has disbursed their pay, sources in Haiti flatly deny that any payments have been received. Melita Oletenges reports.
Kenyan police officers deployed in Haiti may be making progress on the battlefield, but they are struggling to stay afloat back home. Officers are urgently calling for help as they face months of unpaid salaries, with senior officials responding to their frustrations with little detail.
The Kenyan team is part of the United Nations multi-support team to Haiti, and its terms of engagement within that process is well defined. Who is paying for that support is the United Nations.
However, despite assurances from Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja that payments have been made up to October, insiders in Haiti are calling this statement misleading.
Our officers in Haiti have received their payments now, up to the end of October. The situation in Haiti is that it has actually improved a lot. There is a lot of improvement we are seeing. The officers on deployment there, they are doing a very good job actually.
According to sources on the ground, most officers are still in deep financial hardship, unable to support their families back home. Some have even threatened to resign, but their calls have been met with disarmament in the volatile region. Officers are also reporting that their communications are being heavily controlled to prevent any news of their struggles from leaking back to Kenya. The cover-up of the dire situation surrounding the remuneration of Kenyan police in Haiti continues, even as recent treasury documents show that Kenya funded the mission to a tune of 2 billion shillings. A strained contribution to the UN by countries that pledged support is a major setback for the mission. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
Human rights defenders say they will remain steadfast in their pursuit of justice for Gen Z youth who lost their lives at the hands of the government during anti-government protests earlier this year. During the 30th anniversary of the Kenya Human Rights Commission, the activists emphasized that they will not relent until the victims get justice. The defenders also criticized the opposition and the judiciary for their silence and inaction in the face of human rights violation against Kenyans. Ben Kirui reports.
30 years of rights and fights. Human rights defenders gathered to commemorate the Kenya Human Rights Commission's KHRC 30th anniversary, marking 3 decades of tireless advocacy for justice and equality. The event serving as a rallying call to renew their commitment to protecting the rights of Kenyans.
One Voice has remained consistent in doing and standing up for what is right and just, the civil society. The Kenya Human Rights Commission is a stalwart among civil society organizations throughout history.
The activists expressing resolve to seek justice for recent abductions and killings of Generation Z youth who were targeted, silenced, and murdered by the state machinery. They vowed to continue their fight until justice is served and the victims' rights are fully upheld.
We must ensure that we get justice for our Gen Z. We get the culprits who we know they are state and they are corporate actors to be able to account.
In a bold statement, the human rights groups condemned the judiciary and opposition-turned-government allies for their silence and inaction. They labeled them sycophants, accusing them of aligning with oppressors instead of defending the people's rights.
The massacre by our courts of the rights of the people, particularly on the right to public participation. And I say this with a lot of sadness, because when we look at certain institutions that should be the last bulwark for the people of Kenya, and you say the people are bullying you, you need to be defended from the people. I say, come on, who do you think you are?
The civil rights group say despite the 3 decades of working hard to dismantle the culture of impunity in Kenya and beyond, the challenges faced in the 90s remain present today, with the current regime a classic case study of why the war for a society free from oppression is yet to be won. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
And now to the counties. The Council of Governors is now accusing the Control of Budget of misrepresenting what they termed the true financial situation in counties. COG Chair Ahmed Abdullahi defended multiple bank accounts held by counties, saying they are all legal. Stephen Leto has more.
After the Control of Budget released a report that flagged governors running up to 300 bank accounts, the Council of Governors have come out guns blazing to defend themselves, claiming that the accounts are being run lawfully.
County governments have 7,011 health facilities, which are commensurate with the accounts in commercial banks. All accounts opened and operated by the county governments are lawful.
In the latest first quarter report released Wednesday, Control of Budget noted that counties had flouted the Public Finance Management Act by having several accounts that the Control of Budget says encourages pilferage and makes it difficult to track their funds usage.
County governments are implementing various projects funded from conditional grants by development partners. Some of the conditions include the requirement to open special purpose accounts for these projects in a commercial bank for operational convenience and to ensure ring fencing of these funds for specific projects.
The COG also raised concerns over the report that cited 10 counties who had spent 0 shillings on development.
If a county has received 0 shillings in equitable share, what were they supposed to spend on development? And this is a story that usually mostly happens in Q1.
The Control of Budget also faulted governors for presenting their financial statements late. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
Officers of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations were caught on camera assaulting Citizen TV journalists, demanding that they delete videos they had recorded while waiting for Kiambu Senator Karungo Thangwa and former Limuru MP Peter Mwathi to arrive at DCI headquarters in Nairobi. They were there to be questioned about an incident at a funeral where thugs disrupted the event and chased away former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Willie Lusige with that report.
This is how the situation looked just moments before the arrival of Kiambu Senator Karungo Thangwa and former Limuru Member of Parliament Peter Mwathi, allies of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, at the DCI headquarters in Nairobi. Journalists, especially from Citizen TV, including photographer Agnes Solo and myself, were ambushed by several officers believed from the DCI. They were led by an officer who forcibly seized our cameras and demanded we delete the videos we had recorded, threatening to break the cameras if we refused. TV47 journalist William Moige also had his phone seized, only to have it returned later. The director of the DCI, Amin Mohammed, along with the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, have condemned the incident.
That was a very, very isolated incident. Overall, we have had a very amicable relationship with the members of the press. We shall continue training our officers in terms of their competencies in the area of interaction with the media.
Senator Thangwa and Mwathi were questioned for the second time shortly after being questioned in Nyeri, with the DCI officers asking them to explain what they knew about the chaos witnessed the previous week when goons stormed a funeral attended by former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, along with the two men causing mayhem.
We have nothing to record about. We are victims of the circumstances and the situation. The violence was directed towards us.
Both men emphasized that they were the ones who were attacked at the funeral and did not have any information about who funded the invasion.
We are not obligated to give the DCI any information. And two, we do not trust this government. We do not trust it to give it information first. Then they go manipulate it.
Leaders who accompanied the senator and those held outside condemned the government, claiming it had targeted Gachagua's allies without valid reason.
Wenye walifanya hayo mambo katika hiyo mazishi Limuru, si wanaonekana wako kwa videos. Why don't they use those videos?
The two were later allowed to leave.
If the intent is to intimidate us so that they can test our resolve, I want to commit that our resolve is extremely deep.
As the DCI officers say they are continuing with their investigation on what transpired in Limuru, allies of the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, they are saying they are being subjected to questioning and interrogation while they are the ones who are affected. Willie Lusigia, Citizen TV, DCI, headquarter, Nairobi.
More than 300 families from Nyadina village in Nyakach have been displaced by River Sondu Miriu, which burst its bank following a night of heavy rains. Crops have been destroyed with several head of cattle reportedly swept by the raging waters. And as Laura Otieno now reports, the affected residents have appealed for immediate medical intervention due to the risk of contracting waterborne diseases.
Nyadina village in Kisumu is underwater. Boats float above what were pathways connecting houses within the village. Those who cannot afford boat transport wade through the water. This is the aftermath of River Sondu Miriu breaking its banks on Monday, displacing 300 families and laying more than 500 acres of crop to waste.
Samba zimeharibika huku, maragwe zangu zimeharibika. Mwezi wa kwanza watoto wanaenda shule. Za hata nimeshindwa watoto wataenda shule aje. Juu hiyo ndio nilikuwa ninategemea nikisavuna niuze nipate karo ya shule.
Jamni olalo digimaji hajapatikana. Si maji ilikuja kwa boma fagia ng'ombe yote na mbuzi na kile kitu. Makuku meenda na maji. Masufuria watu hawana hata masufuria. Tafadhali leteni hata masufuria wapige na unga yenu mnaleta hiyo. Hakuna hata sufuria meenda na maji yote.
Water sources have also been contaminated, with children and pregnant women now staring at a possible risk of contracting malaria and waterborne diseases due to the stagnant flood water.
Mwezi April, August na December ni maji kila siku. Ugonjwa hapa ni mingi. Watu wanahara seriously because maji ni mbaya. Wanatabika, iko na malaria. Watoto wanajaa kwa nyumba watoke nje. Malaria ni imesidi.
Na hospitali hata tunaenda ngambo. Hatuwezi pata hata dawa. Kama governor yetu Peter Anyang' Nyong'o na tuko na Senate Tom Ojienda. Vile tuliwachagua wakati wa campaign. warudi waangalie wenye waliwachagua.
Hata tuseme saa mtupe pesa, mtujengee. Ingalao tu bado inakuja inaharibika. Sasa muhimu sana chenye tunataka vile tunaweza tulia hii maji.
As more people continue to suffer the devastating effects of the heavy rains, residents of Nyadina are appealing for the setting up of dikes along the Sondu Meriu River in order to save them from the raging waters. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
Now, Environment Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale says the rising incidence of cancer in the country could be partly attributed to the high number of buildings still under asbestos roofing, 18 years since the carcinogenic material was banned. Speaking when he appeared before the National Assembly Public Petitions Committee, the CS revealed that among the buildings still lagging behind in the exercise include the Kenyatta National Hospital, which attends to cancer patients. Emmanuel Tor with that report.
When he appeared before the National Assembly Public Petitions Committee on Thursday, Environment Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale sought to lift the lid on one of the country's ticking time bombs, disclosing that many hospitals, public institutions, schools, churches and other public facilities had not removed the harmful asbestos roofing from their buildings. Asbestos is a collection of 6 fibrous silicate minerals that are resistant to heat, fire, chemicals and biological degradation. The CS raising the alarm on the continued use of the material.
I'm not a medical doctor, but I can contribute the high incidence of cancer in our country to the use of these asbestos. And it affects the membrane lining of the lungs, abdomen, and it presents symptoms similar to those of respiratory illness.
Ironically, a majority of buildings yet to transition to safer roofing include hospitals such as the Kenyatta National Hospital, Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital, Kisumu County Referral Hospital, Meru Cancer Center houses, Meru Teaching and Referral Hospital, and Kenya Medical Training College, among others. Most of these hospitals treat cancer patients, including those with cancer caused by asbestos. Other government facilities, including the Nairobi City County offices, along Jogoo Road, the Kenya National Trading Corporation, National Cereals and Produce Board, Kenya Railways Corporation, Kenya Pipeline Company Limited, Mumias Sugar Company, and Kenya Meat Commission are also on the roll. Some learning institutions on the red alert include Kenyatta University, Starehe Boys Center, Bungoma High School, among others. Churches have also been cited in the report, with Redeemed Gospel Church Huruma, Our Lady of Fatima Catholic Church, and Christ is the Answer Ministries registered trustees' offices still having the dangerous material.
Now it's raining everywhere. The water that comes from these asbestos roofs, with all the health risks it has, is what Kenyans are drinking. It's very unfortunate to say that, and I apologize on behalf of the previous administrations.
More than 50 countries globally, including the US, the UK and many European countries, have banned the dangerous roofing after lung cancer cases shot up. The government had given a deadline of December this year to have all the asbestos removed, transported and destroyed, but the efforts have been frustrated by, among other things, financial constraints. Emmanuel Cho, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
All right, now 22 minutes past the hour, going to 23. You're taking a short break here on Tonight, but when you come back, we have so many more stories for you. Stay tuned for that. Welcome back. You're still watching Tonight. The Public Benefits Organizations Regulatory Authority has announced the deregistration of 2,800 non-government organizations for violating the terms of their certificates. The cancellations are set to take effect after 15 days. The authority says some of the organizations have been in default for up to 29 years. And as our reporter, Audrey Francis, now reports, the Regulatory Authority says the move is aimed at weeding out organizations being used for money laundering and terrorism activities.
After 6 months of intensive scrutiny, 2,800 NGOs have been listed for deregistration for flouting the rules.
NPOs or PBOs are soft targets for laundering. So if we don't monitor what they're doing, we might not know where the laundering is happening or if it's happening and who is doing it.
The regulatory authority says the move is also aimed at weeding off briefcase organizations which are being used to siphon money from unsuspecting Kenyans.
NGOs are donor funded. These donors have to get money from somewhere. Sometimes they are unscrupulous individuals who fashion themselves as donors, but they are not donors. They are people that have illegitimate and illegal funds.
According to the Gazette notice, some of the blacklisted organizations have not submitted their returns for up to 29 years. These include Resource Project Kenya, Ivera Group Kenya, Heritage Africana, Social Unity for Leadership and Women Empowerment, the Shepherd Education Center, and Positive Mental Attitude Network. However, some organizations have been flagged for defaulting for between 1 and 4 years. These include Grassroots Empowerment and Development of Kenya, Sakaja Foundation, Ezesha Jamii Foundation, Imarisha Africa Empowerment Network, Mara Serengeti Hoteliers Forum, and Mulembe Nation Foundation.
We will ask donors to stop funding organizations that are not compliant with the law. Organizations must comply with the law if they want to hold the government accountable. You're the first one to make noise that you've been targeted. No one is targeting anyone. People are just being asked to comply with the laws.
As the NGO Regulatory Authority cracks the whip on NGOs that do not follow the set rules and guidelines of the government, more than 2,300 other organizations risk losing their NGO certificates due to non-compliance. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Kuramo Capital Management Company has been appointed as the fund manager for the enterprise financing facility in Ethiopia following a competitive bidding process. The independent firm, founded in 2010 and based in Kenya, will oversee the management and establishment of the $100 million blended finance facility that will provide financial support for Ethiopia's small and medium enterprises. The firm will also provide global investment services to institutional clients and high net worth individuals. Annabelle Obala has more.
As the pioneering funds for sub-Saharan Africa, Kuramo Capital, the leading anchor investment for almost 15 years, has been selected as the fund manager for the enterprise financing facility in Ethiopia, with sponsorship from the United Nations Development and the National Bank of Ethiopia.
Such capital actually serves as a major catalyst that also attracts additional capital to such markets, and hopefully it will catalyze other funds that can come into the market and be able to be deployed into that country.
The $100 million kitty will help fund the SMEs in Ethiopia as well as innovative startups in the country. According to the Chief Executive Officer of the company, Shaka Kariuki, majority of its investments are in Kenya, a testament of Kuramo's ability and innovative ways of mobilizing capital across the African markets. The company's immediate focus will ensure that funds are put into operation by the first half of the year 2025.
We have a lot of buy-in from the government, from UNDP, from the regulators. They want to see this succeed, and they're being deliberate in driving this change so that ultimately they can change and bring capital into the SME and startup ecosystem.
In addition to that, the company also received a special recognition award for investing in Transsector Republic Limited Company with a focus on infrastructure at this year's Private Equity Africa Awards held in London, the United Kingdom.
TransCentury is a good example of having gone through the process, our investment process.
The company will also expand its supporting women-owned businesses to curb the issue of gender inequality.
At Kuramo, what we have done is decided to go out there and start a product that is actually going to invest in women-owned private equity firms.
200 companies in 30 sub-Saharan African countries, including Kenya and Nigeria, have benefited from the funds that have significantly raised over $3.5 billion investment in Africa.
And while we are celebrating...
Annabel Obala, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Residents of Wangige, Ruaka, Ruiru, Juja are the latest beneficiaries of the Sambaza, Furaha na Safaricom caravan, which camped in Kiambu County on Thursday. The caravan, in conjunction with Royal Media Services, spread joy in those areas by not only gifting residents, but also bringing Safaricom services closer to the people.
It was all joy and fun in Wangige when the Sambaza, Furaha na Safaricom caravan landed in the area. Residents were psyched up and ready to receive goodies from Safaricom. But it was not just a day for goodies, as Safaricom was all out to ensure they get better services. The launch of this Safaricom customer care shop, easing the burden for residents who had to travel far to seek services.
Leo pekee tutafungua 5 more shops that will bring care close to our customers. You know, tuko na only about maduka about 40, lakini tumeona customers wetu wanataka huduma karibu. Kwa hivyo tumefungua nearly 500, maduka 500 across the country, just to bring service close to our customers.
And from the shop, it was time for Christmas goodies: chicken, phones, t-shirts, umbrellas. The mood in Wangige market changed as everyone wanted to be part of the celebrations.
Nafurahia sana kupewa busi ya sikukuu. Roho yangu imefurahi na Mungu ni mzuri. Nataka kuambia wateja wa Wangige, kutumia M-Pesa, pesa yako itakuwa safe. Utumie app ya M-Pesa na utumie pochi la biashara.
The caravan let us next through Ruaka, Kiambu Town, Ruiru and Juja. Presenters from Royal Media Services radio stations took charge as fans cheered them all day long.
We are celebrating another milestone for Safaricom, where we have now achieved 34 million M-Pesa customers. And this can only be possible due to the faith and trust that has been given to us by our customers.
Siku ya kusambaza furaha kabisa na Safaricom msimu na wakati huu. Kile ambacho tunawahimiza wasikilizaji wetu pia na watazamaji na wafuasi wa Safaricom ni kuwa wawe chonjo pia. Maana kuna conmen wengi sana. Pia tunazungumzia data protection. Namna kuhakikisha kuwa unalinda data yako, unalinda information yako.
The feeling was the same in Nyamira County. Safaricom, in partnership with Egesa FM presenters, traversed different areas sharing goodies with residents while celebrating 24 years of connecting and transforming lives.
Sasa nimefurahia sana juu ya Citizen na Safaricom. Nimepata hiyo hako ka gift amba, juu pale ndani na cheki kuna shuge hapo, na cheki kuna mafuta na unga.
From Kiambu and Nyamira counties, the Sambaza, Furaha na Safaricom caravan will on Friday tour Ruai, Pipeline, Mlolongo and Kitengela. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV.
Right, and at this point, you are up for another short break. We come back with the business news. In business, Kilifi County has signed for a memorandum of understanding with 3 companies. The agreements aim to support the blue economy agenda with maritime infrastructure, construction of a 3,000-acre special economic zone, solar energy, and the digital economy. Francis Mtalaki was there.
Limited. The signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between Kilifi County and Kenya Shipyard Limited will see a boost in the blue economy agenda, with maritime infrastructure targeting thousands of fishermen along the Kilifi Channel. For Zonken is... The Zonken Group inked 2 deals with the county, which include the construction of 3,000-acre special economic zone in Kalodeni constituency and the construction of the solar energy at Baricho Water Plant. Kilifi Governor Gideon Mungaro says the deals will go a long way in unlocking the county's vast potential in sectors such as tourism, agriculture, infrastructure, renewable energy and manufacturing.
Facilities for medical tourism. We are planning the construction of a cut-edging healthcare facilities, including a level 6 teaching and referral hospital, to make Kilifi a destination of choice for medical tourism.
We also want to bring regulations that are going to create
an enabling environment for county governments to be the real champions of investments in our country.
The African Digital Media Institute also signed an MOU to train over 1,000 creatives to monetize their talent with Centum. The initiative is supported by Google Trust. Investors attending the conference have called on the government to set up a one-stop investment facilitation center and offer incentives to encourage more investments.
We believe in turning challenges into opportunities. And some of the challenges investors face is infrastructure readiness, the process of approvals, the process of securing titles.
So we would like to see a one-stop investor shop created where you come and get all your approvals from one office. We'd also want to see some incentives given back to investors, either ROA run rates or ROA approval rates. We'd also want an office set up around that supports investors. And also we want an office set up that markets Kirifi to the entire world so that it's not a few speaking about Kirifi.
Francis Mtlaki, Citizen TV, Kilifi County.
Stanbic Bank's Purchasing Managers Index shows that Kenya's private sector posted its strongest performance in 6 months in November, with the PMI edging up to 50.9. This upward movement reflects improved sales and better customer spending. However, the growth was tempered by rising input costs and subdued business confidence for the next 12 months. Jasmine Omboy reports.
The Stanbic Bank Kenya PMI shows that Kenyan firms saw a greater improvement in business conditions midway through the final quarter of 2024. The Purchasing Managers Index rose marginally to 50.9 from 50.4 in October. The uptick was driven by stronger sales and improved customer spending, particularly in the services and wholesale and retail sectors. New orders expanded at their fastest pace since May this year, with firms ramping up inventories to meet the rising demand. However, agriculture, manufacturing and construction sectors faced declines. Rising input costs driven by higher taxes and operational expenses saw selling prices climb at the sharpest rate in 9 months as businesses passed on this cost to consumers. Business confidence about the future remains subdued, with only 8% of firms optimistic about growth in the year ahead. Jasmine Omboi, Citizen TV.
Now, Majid Al Futtaim, the exclusive operator of Carrefour in Kenya, has launched its first retail business school in Nairobi. The facility is expected to deliver 12 tailored training programs annually and train over 1,500 Carrefour employees by 2025 on technical skills, customer service and leadership. CEO Gunther Helm says the initiative is a testament to Carrefour's commitment to investing in local talent and driving Kenya's economic growth. Initially launched in the UAE in 2019, the business school concept now operates in Saudi Arabia, Egypt and Kenya.
4, 5, let's start.
I will not give all the secret, but we have a very, very ambitious expansion plan in Kenya. So you cannot grow, you cannot expand if you don't have the right people. And Teresa mentioned it very well that we need people to make the things happen. And that tool today, that school, will help us to grow and to achieve our goal.
We are perceived as an external company coming to Kenya, but the opposite is happening, actually. Look at, the sourcing what we're having. Look at the products what we're sourcing and selling in our stores. Looking at the local talents what we're training. And this facility, the Retail Business School, is another strong commitment from Majid Al Futtaim, Carrefour, to really say we are here actually to become a Kenyan company, and from there to grow within Africa, not only in Kenya, but also maybe beyond.
Kenya must make deliberate efforts to commercialize research findings to ensure a sustainable feed sector. This was the consensus among stakeholders attending the country's second feed sector roundtable in Nairobi. The meeting, supported by the Dutch Embassy in partnership with other organizations, emphasized the need for stronger collaboration with the private sector to build resilience in the feed industry.
If you talk about the livestock sector, we need to talk about the feed sector, and we need to improve
how we develop the sector, what we can do together with all the different partners in the sector.
We had an innovation mission on sustainable livestock early in the year, and there was a lot of collaboration between the Kenyan government as well as the Dutch government and also the various players in the sector.